everybody, and welcome back to the Healing in Nature Stories series. And today I am looking forward to talking with Maria Alessandri, who will be sharing about her amazing journey of deep love for horses, people, and nature, and how the heart of her work really evolves around them. Maria's background started in a corporate world, but she always had this deep passion for horses. She created the Horse and People Project, where she found a powerful way to merge those two worlds and help people reconnect with themselves through nature and the connection with horses. So, Maria, thank you so much for being here today, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, Maria. Well, I took a part actually in one of your experiences back. I want to say like it's been 2 years and it's been so fun. Like up to today, when somebody asks me something about horses, I'm like, oh, I know this lady. She does this amazing things. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about how this has all
Yeah.
evolved for you.
So it just was not planned for sure. Like you mentioned, I was in the corporate world. I was always obsessed with horses. So I was definitely one of these kids that was obsessed with horses. And I grew up in New York City, parents from South America. We moved to Queens. And, obviously it's not horse country, but I saw a policeman, a mounted policeman. And I followed him back to his barn because seeing a horse in real life was just amazing to me. And I slowly just started helping around the barn, and they were gracious enough to let me stay. And, if it meant cleaning, doing their work for them, like of the horse care, I didn't care because it meant I got to be with the horses. And slowly they would teach us, about taking care of horses. And so I made it happen, even though I wasn't born in the place where you would think it would come easily. I knew that it was a passion of mine and it was going to happen somehow. So then that's what brought me down. I came down to college down in DC, and then I was not going to go back to New York because I always knew I wanted to live more in the country, a little bit more where just more nature, more outdoor, less concrete.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, as I was working corporate and raising children, I had adopted a thoroughbred off the track. He was in a kill pen, so total rescue. And when I brought him home, I realized I didn't know how to retrain him. I thought I had the skills, and then working with him, just the two of us, I'm like, wow, this is way over my head. I don't know. Of course, then I thought, what's wrong with him? I
Mm.
didn't realize that it was just he had been in such a bad situation. How do you recover? Like the rescue, it's not so easy for him to trust humans again when he's been treated badly. And he's had a pretty bad life for the first 5 years of his life. So I found a trainer that understood more natural horsemanship and partnering rather than dominance. Because the first trainers were kind of dominant oriented. And when I did that, then my horse ran away from me. And I thought, I think I'm making him more scared of me rather than making him happy to be with me. So I found the natural horsemanships, what they call the horse whispering. And I started doing that kind of training, and I fell in love with it because of the changes that it made with my horse. And and then I'm going to tell a quick story because this brought it home for me in terms of, oh, it's not about the horse, this is about me. So there was a girl at another barn where her horse did run away from her all the time. And I had already gone through that and decided that's not what I want from my horse. And so I came to the barn once and my horse came running to me and she said, whoa, how is that? Because she was used to leaving a rope on her horse 24/7. Usually, when horses are out in their fields, you don't have anything on them, they just get to be a horse. But she always kept, a halter is this headpiece and then a rope. So she always kept that on her horse. And I thought, why do you keep that? And she said, because she runs away. So basically, this girl had to kind of back up and quickly grab the rope so that her horse wouldn't run away from her. And I had seen a glimpse of that when I first started training my horse, and I thought that's the wrong path. Like that's not the path that I want to go down with my horse. And so then when she saw my horse running to me at the gate, almost like, yay, she's here, was what I wanted from my horse. She asked me how I did that, and I told her I just come and I see him and I spend time with him, and sometimes we go for walks, and I don't always have to ride him. So if I do ride him, then maybe he gets a bath and he gets to eat the fresh grass outside of the field. Like kind of balance it with something fun for him so that it's not that every time he sees me, he thinks, oh, she's going to make me work. So it was finding that balance of, yes, I want to ride, but let's just do something fun for you as well. And then, so when I was describing this to the girl, she's like, oh, that's too much work. So she would rather have to go and like quickly grab her horse and that's okay. That's her horse. She's allowed to do what she wants. But then fast forward like 10 years, I was sitting at my counter, my kitchen, having a cup of coffee, and I saw one of my sons come. He was coming up from downstairs, and I could see him coming towards the kitchen, but then he saw me and he started backing up, like quietly backing up. And I thought, oh, he's avoiding me. He doesn't want to come into the kitchen because I'm here. And so it just hit me like immediately, oh, that's the same thing with the horse. If it's too much expectation, if it's too much nagging, have you cleaned your room, your laundry, your school work, all the list of things that as moms, we kind of fall into this bad habit of when we see our kids of jumping on them with expectations and requirements. And so, yeah, when he started backing up, I thought, oh, I just did the same thing. So that was one of the instances where I kept seeing everything I was doing, training my horse. I was finding correlations with my human relationships. So at work, I was still at work at the time in DC. So with colleagues at work or with my children, with my siblings, with my parents, like there were all these correlations that I was learning from working with my horse, being about partnership, about listening more, about not blaming. You can't blame a horse. I mean, if you do, it just goes nowhere. So when he wouldn't do something that I wanted, it was like, oh, let me think if I asked in a way that he could understand me. So my communication, I had to really get more clear. No means no, yes means yes. If you are somewhere in the middle, it still has to be clear. And you can't say no and then immediately change it to yes. Like it has to be thought out. Like, so all these things about how to be a clear communicator, then that became lessons in leadership. That became lessons in parenting because they're all the same. The leadership, the communication, it's all the same. I say it's the same whether you're in the boardroom or the backyard. Like learning for yourself, about yourself, how to be clear and how to communicate better, just to improve relationships, to improve the way that you interact with someone. Ooh, that was a long-winded.
No, that was good. It's quite incredible that it's like you had this hidden desire since childhood, even though you didn't grow up on a farm, you know? Um, and it's very interesting also, well, on top of what you're sharing about how the horse, the connection to the horse represents our connection to other people around us. It's also the fact that you told yourself, you know what, I didn't grow on a farm. I didn't have all these things. It wasn't given to me, but you stepped and you chose a path that is so different and you didn't give up on that dream. So I think that's super powerful on its own in the work that you do and how it's just all connected. It's just so cool. And I'd love for you to share some of the actual stories that you see on, when you connect the two pieces.
Yeah, at first, so it was interesting, the horse making it into the Horse and People project was all these things that I was learning about myself and realizing, oh, this isn't ultimately about the horse, and how can this help people? Like at first, I just thought it was to help me. So at one point, about 15 years ago, going through separation, divorce, like just very traumatic, like sad, depression. And I would go and sit with my horse, and then I would feel better. So it was interesting because out of two horses at the time that I had, one of them would run away from me. So my original horse, my thoroughbred, that the kill pen rescue, he would run away from me. And then I would get upset, like, oh, I need you to comfort me and you're running away. I had another horse, this horse Rocky. Um, I don't remember who we worked with when you came, but so this horse Rocky was the opposite. He would come and put his head in my lap, basically, and I would cry, cry, cry. And then I would think, okay, I feel better. Like that just lifted this sadness. And I'm like, I feel okay now. Like I can go face the rest of my day. So things that I was learning there was with my thoroughbred, he couldn't handle seeing me kind of broken. He couldn't handle it. He needed me to be okay. So I needed to not get mad at him or upset with him because he couldn't handle me. It just wasn't his gift, right? It wasn't his gift to comfort me. It was the other horse. It was his gift. And so then at that point, I started thinking, okay, and this is a gift from God. Like I thought God put this horse in my life because he's really, they're each helping me in different ways, but this one right now is helping me out of this sadness. And I thought, oh, I need to make him available to people to just come and be with him because he has this ability of just removing sadness. And there's so many people that have come through who just start crying. And they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. Like when we're working one on one with the horse, they're like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I just feel a release. And I said, let it go. Like it's fine. Like the horse has been through it. He'll just stand here patiently. Or sometimes the horse will nudge a person. Um, One time I had a really cool experience where the horse started yawning a lot. And I said to the person, I said, I don't know why he's doing that because I've never seen him do that before, just yawning, yawning, yawning. And she said, I know why. So yawning is a form of self-soothing when you're feeling anxiety. And she normally does that for herself, but it was a group situation, so she didn't feel comfortable doing it. How did the horse how did the horse feel that?
Wow.
It was just because I said he's never done this. And I had never heard of that. So when she shared that, no, this is a technique I use, I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like I just got chill bumps all over.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh. That's pretty incredible. Like how sensitive the horse can be to that point, kind of like even reading things that under the surface.
Yeah. I had a trainer that we were working on being really light. So as humans, we're predators. Horses are prey. So as humans, we come off aggressive. We are very straight line thinkers. We want something, we go straight for it. Horses aren't like that. They meander. They're not as intense when they're going for something as so a lot of times it's amazing that we can even be friends with them. They are so forgiving, they are so gentle because we are predators to them. They're so sensitive that they can feel our intentions. So this is why I had a trainer one time that said, in your direction, in your instruction, start with a thought. You only go stronger if there's no response. But can you be as light as a thought? And that was just, you mean don't even touch him? Don't do, no. First, you start with your thought. And I found that so helpful because a lot of times when people would come, they didn't know what they were asking for. I said, well, then don't ask. So even with kids, with as a boss, if you don't know what you're asking for, then it's not really fair to ask. So wait till you have your thoughts together, and then when it's clear, then you ask. And then your results are going to be so much better. And with the horse, you're almost halfway there. If you're intentional and you're clear, they're almost going to start moving before you even say anything to them. And it really helps because as humans, we're so jumbled in our brain, like we're so all over the place. And that to me brings me back also to nature, like being outside, being, whether it's with the horses or I hike also, like just any kind of outdoor activity, it settles, it calms me, it settles me. Even on the days that it's 0 degrees out and I don't feel like going out to feed the horses, I'm always on the way back so happy. Like, okay, I'm glad I had to go outside.
Yeah. Wow. It's thinking about what you as we're talking about putting the intention in there without speaking out. This is such a great correlation to everything we do every day because we tend to be so fast. We need to get things done. Okay,
Yeah.
say this to him, say this to that, say it there. And without necessarily always taking the time to think about it and process what we really want to say. Um, and also communication wise, um, when we speak, we sometimes expect a response or the person who listens wants to say something, but with the horse it's different. Um, and I guess the dynamics is very interesting. Just thinking
One
about
of the
it.
hardest things for people sometimes is waiting. Like, make your request and wait. And if the horse doesn't move, then okay, let's request again with a little more pressure. Then if he doesn't move, is he understanding? Like it's all these different thought process. Is he just not doing it because he doesn't believe he needs to? If you're not really asking, one of the things I always say is ask like you mean it, because we tend to be wishy-washy when we ask for things. And with a horse, you can't be. One of the exercises we do is asking the horse for his leg. So if you ask, but you are kind of too far away or you're slanting away from him, so your body position is not solid, and I'm asking for your leg, you know, some people will say, oh, why won't he give me his leg? I'm like, he doesn't trust you because you're not asking like you really want his leg. You're asking like you're just going through the motions. So he's not going to engage if you're not really here. One time I had, this was so cute. I love this. This whole session was 3 moms, 3 teenage boys. One of the boys, when he got out of the car, slammed the door, just stomping around. It was obvious. He didn't want to be there. Mom said, we're going to do this thing. You have to come. It was just so obvious. So the moms did great with the horse. Everybody comes in one at a time. Then the 2 other boys came in. They did great. Then this third boy came in and he starts pushing the horse and tapping, and the horse won't move, just stood there. And the kid was getting more and more angry. Like they all did it. Why isn't he doing it? Why isn't he moving? And I said, well, he can tell that you're not in it. He can tell that you're not going to put any effort in, so he's not either. And so the boy said, I didn't want to come. My mom made me. I said, I know. I said, I know. I'm sorry. I hear you. I'm sorry that you had to come. I said, but you know what? Mom's over there. She's chatting with her friends. This is your time with the horse. If you change your mind and decide that you're going to be here and actually try to engage with him, this is your time. Like, take advantage of it. Let's see what happens. So the minute he said, okay, I'm going to try, I'm going to stop being mad at the horse or mad at me because it wasn't us. So let's see what comes out of it. So as soon as he started, working. Then the horse started reacting, the horse started moving, and the kid was like, "Ah, I did it, like I'm doing it." I said, yeah, he just needed you to put some effort, because why is the horse going to put in effort if you're not? So again, it was the mindset and the intention, and letting go of anger is hard for humans. We hang on to irritations. We hang on to stress. Obviously, that's a big one. We hang on to anger. We hold grudges. Horses don't hold grudges. They don't even know what that is. If they're mad, they'll just be mad for a minute, or they'll kick each other or fight each other, but then it's done. It's gone.
Mm.
So it's really cool to watch the horses and the horse interaction and learn, like, oh, we should be more like that.
Oh, that's so awesome. Because um, when I think about like interactions of humans and animals, sometimes there is this conception of we are the humans, we're smart, we're strong, we're intelligent, we know all the things, we already figured it all out. You guys are all here for us to kind of serve us in a way, right? But the way that you were treating the horses, there's this collaboration, communication, and it's just so beautiful, the interconnectedness, that the creation of something that it's so much more than just us and them. It's just this together. I just think it's so unique and beautiful. And you don't let people ride the horses. So usually
Yeah.
you think about a horse, be like, oh, people ride horses. There you go. But here, no, it's like there's this respect for the natural being that is in front of us.
Yeah, a lot of my horses are rescues, and we don't always know what their physical abilities are. So I don't want to introduce. I have one horse that I ride, but I have one horse that we don't put anyone on, because when he's had weight on his back, he just starts bucking a lot, and it's obvious that he's in pain, that he had something was wrong. And the vet can't pinpoint exactly, but it's some kind of spinal injury. So no, we don't. Riding is a whole different thing. And it also takes away from the people start focusing on the riding, and then they won't focus on the connection on the ground. And I did have one trainer actually who used to say, if you don't have leadership on the ground, you have no business getting on. So
Yeah.
we need to establish that leadership on the ground. And this whole idea of partnership and respect, it doesn't mean that you can't ask and insist
Mhm.
on an activity, or if you want something. It doesn't mean that because they don't do it, that you just say, okay, we're not doing it. It's like, no, no. Some things we're still going to do. Kids don't always want to wake up and get dressed to go to school, but yeah, we're going to. But it shouldn't become a fighting match or a screaming match. It's like, no, no, we are going to school. Today is a school day. So I had one lady who was working with one of my horses, and she would go get him out of his field and bring him out. And for a month, she was fine. She would come a few days a week and bring him out and brush him and do just nice things with him, hang out with him. And then one day she said, I can't, he won't come anymore from the field. I go to get him, and then he just locks in and he won't come out. So I said, let me watch what you're doing, because I've never encountered that. This horse, it was my horse Rocky. I'm like, he doesn't have any trouble coming out of his field. So let me see what you're doing. So what she didn't realize that she was doing is she put his halter on and she's walking him. And then she kept turning around, and she would pat him. She would stop, turn around, pat him, then walk a few more feet, stop, turn around, give him a pat. So that, like, by the third time that she did that, he just locked his feet in and he just refused to move until she took the halter off, and then he went back to graze with his friends. So I said, oh, I see what's happening. You made it into a question. So every time you stop, it's a question mark now. Instead of we're going, you're saying, are we going? Are you still with me? But you don't really, you broke the momentum because you put the halter on and you walk. Why do you have to keep turning around to check? He's there, he's there, you have the rope.
Hmm.
So why are you And so the bottom line of this exercise then was, where else in your life do you do this? Because it's not about the horse. He just stopped, and now you have to figure out, well, what were you doing? You broke the momentum. You needed to just keep going. So, like as a leader, as a parent, keep the momentum going. So, yeah, we're going to school. We're not stopping 20 times, on the way to. It's like you're getting dressed, having breakfast, like it's the forward momentum. Once you start with the battles, it's this choppy situation that is really hard to get a flow and to get a peaceful flow. So it was like, no, the intention is you put his halter on, you are walking him out of the field. You don't stop, he won't stop. He's going to keep coming. But if you keep turning around, and it's also like if somebody's giving you directions or if GPS is giving you directions, there's a flow, there's a confidence, there's a clarity, there's no question marks. If somebody's giving me directions and the way they say it is you turn left at the light, are you going to want to turn left? Instead of no, you get to the light, you make a left. Like it's
Mm.
clear. It's where else in your life? Do you do this at work? Do you do this with your kids? Like you're breaking the momentum, you're breaking the instruction, the direction, and the intention. Some things can be collaborative, but not everything has to be collaborative. There are times where if you're the boss, be the boss and be clear and intentional. Don't be wishy-washy, because then that throws everybody into, well, I didn't realize and now you don't want to do that. It's like, no, it's not a question. We are going. Does that
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's it's kind of it's those traits or behaviors that we do that we probably don't even pay attention to.
We don't know. We don't know we're doing it. And until the horse stopped and said, nah, I don't want to go, it's like, oh. And the fun thing about working with horses, when you work with people, sometimes it's easier to take feedback from horses sometimes because he just stopped. Do you know what I mean? He didn't say, I'm not going, or what are you doing? Like he just stopped. So then it's not confrontational. So then it's easier for us to say, huh, what am I doing that's making him
Mm.
respond like that? Rather than, I've worked with couples, and that's always fun. One time with couples, one of the exercises, we send the horse around in a circle. And again, it's about keeping the momentum going. It's sending the horse, but it's also inviting him back in. And that's a lot about boundary setting. Like we are allowed to say when you can enter our space, how fast, how close. We can say no, too fast, or don't come back yet, and invite them back in. And one time the wife was in the round pen and she was having the horse go and she kept asking him to go. And I said, but wait, he's going. Like he's already going. You don't have to keep asking him because now we're crossing the line from encouraging to nagging. So there is a line. And definitely as parents, we cross it. The fact that my son didn't want to come have coffee with me, I had crossed the line. So that imaginary line from encouraging to nagging. And the nice thing is you can back up. You know what I mean? It's not set in stone. When you see it or when the reaction from somebody or the horse is not good, then it's like, okay, I've crossed the line into nagging. Let me back up. So the wife kept asking. And I said, you're crossing the line. You're crossing the line. Like you have to wait for the horse's response. And one of the responses is the horse will lick and chew. So physically, with his mouth, he will lick and chew when similar to us nodding.
Mm.
That's the horse licking and chewing. They're processing, they're accepting of the situation. They got it. We're good. And so she wasn't waiting for him. She wasn't waiting. So the listening part wasn't there. The talking part was there, but it was talking and sending and requesting, not listening for the answer, not waiting for the lick and chew, not waiting. And so I kept having to tell her, okay, wait for his lick and chew. Like you asked, he answered, stop asking, wait for the lick and chew. And then the husband jumps up, yeah, you have to wait for my lick and chew. So it was obvious that that was their dynamic, was that she didn't see a response from him. So she would keep asking, and that's very typical. Like you see that a lot of times. And are you listening to me? So that kind of thing, as humans, we don't like to hear that. Are you even listening to me? Is very kind of an aggressive, whereas a horse, since it's nonverbal, we don't hear this negative feedback, but we see it. So it's really impactful without us getting defensive. So if somebody says, are you listening to me? We immediately get defensive. But if a horse just stops or doesn't move, it's not like this reaction that we need to have of defending our position, but it's like, let me think why he's doing that. So that's why working with animals to me is just a really nice way to learn about yourself rather than a person pointing out your flaws.
That's a good point because the horse, like this couple that you've shared, she's doing it and can't she can't really blame the horse in a
Right.
way, right? Because like, what is the horse doing? And then it's such a good reflection of the relationships. Like, okay, you're doing the same thing to the husband, but here you have an opportunity to explore.
Yes. And to realize that both, and I tried to explain this to them, like, both of you are right. There's just a little missing piece in the communication. Because wife, you're asking, husband, you're not even acknowledging that you heard. That's why she's asking again, because there's that missing piece. It's not connecting. So, husband, all you have to do is say, I heard you. Let me process, or something. I
Hmm.
mean, if you want to make a joke of it, just say, okay, I'm licking and chewing, or let me lick and chew. Like, put it in the horse terms, like, make it funny. And then the wife can be like, okay, I got some kind of acknowledgement that he even heard me. And then I can stop asking. So it was just that little missing connection. And it's important for people not to feel like they're wrong. Like, oh, you always do this, you always do that. It's like, no, let's meet in the middle and find where that missing contact is and to smooth this over, because it doesn't have to be one person is wrong, one person is right. Like, let's just find the win-win for both of you.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Um, I was actually recalling when I initially came to you, it came because I was thinking about like I'm scared of horses because I had twice experienced that they were just getting wild on me. And I was like, okay, I'm never gonna go on horses because they are like wild, they don't like me or whatever that was. And after this experience, really realizing that this is not the horse fault. First of all, I didn't have any guidance, right? Like, how do I know how to approach the horse? He's bigger than me. Maybe I was scared. I wasn't bringing my own emotions to this whole dynamics. So I feel like what you're doing should be like a orientation before any interaction with probably with anything, with any non-human or maybe even human.
Yeah, and I think the point is that we are predators and we are aggressive by nature,
Hmm.
and they are not. They are the opposite. They are prey, they hear a noise, they want to run. We turn around. Is this dangerous? Like, we have fight or flight, they have flight only. So when we approach a horse direct, it's just for them, it's aggressive. Now, a lot of times in captivity, when you go to these places where you ride, the horse is tacked up already and they're just on a rope, they're tied up waiting for you. They're they're pretty checked out, those horses. To protect themselves, they check out of a lot of human interaction. Also, because when you have a bunch of different humans getting on your back, moving differently, kicking, pulling, they have to kind of withdraw because they are such sensitive creatures. They can't, for that kind of job, when they are trail or, lesson horses, if they have that kind of job, they have to kind of withdraw so that they don't keep getting hurt. And even, when people say things like, don't let a horse know you're scared, they know, they know. I say, don't be fake. If you're scared, be scared. If you're happy, be happy. If you're sad, be sad. They don't like inauthenticity. They don't get it. They don't understand fakeness. They are 100% honest. They don't know how to be anything else. So one time I had a lady who, my horse just wouldn't approach her. So part of that sending exercise where they go, it's fun to send them. I say the magic is inviting them back in. So invite them back in into your space. Be a safe space for them to come back in. Because I also have had people that send, and then they want to bring the horse in. I'm like, you just spent 20 minutes sending him away. He asked multiple times to come in because the horse will turn his head or his ear. And I would prompt the person, he's asking, can he come in? Can he approach? If you never let him approach, then you're the one who's establishing this relationship of you stay out there, that they're not going to want to come in then. If they've asked too many times and you keep saying no, they're not going to ask anymore. And they're just going to say, I don't want to be near that person. So it is finding that balance also of give and take. And so this woman, my horse would not approach her no matter what. And she's smiling and saying, come, come, come. And we were working with my thoroughbred Ace. And I said, we were in a group situation. So I said, okay, I think he's tired. Let's take a break. And then I talked to her privately. I said, the only time he's done that with me, that he didn't want to approach me, when I was suffering, but I was pretending to be okay. So when internally there was turmoil, but externally I was pretending, put on the brave face. They tell you when you go out and horses don't like that because what he's seeing and what he's feeling are two different things. So he wouldn't approach her. And then so when we came back later, she didn't try so hard. You don't have to smile. You don't have to, just say, I would like you to come, and then he did, because some of that pressure was off of her. She let the pressure go and was a little more present, a little more authentic in the moment, not pretending. So that's the thing. They will call us out. Horses are just so amazing that they will call us out on everything.
Makes me wonder how or what other animals or other beings in this world we're living are having those capabilities, but we are not taking the time. Like this lady that you shared, she said, oh, that's too much work. So how much of like this we're doing to the other living beings around us, and we're actually missing out on a lot of lessons.
Yeah, the too much work in the relationship, that was really kind of sad because it's only the investment of time, a lot of it in the beginning, and to change your mindset, like, why do I have this animal in my life? If if you get to your front door and your dog runs away from you, you would know something is wrong. You see it so clearly with dogs because they absolutely want to come and say hello and be in your space. If your dog runs away from you, that's an issue. Cats are funny. Cats are predators like we are. So they can kind of, some cats are super affectionate only until they're done. And then you have to let them go. So like I have one of the cats at the barn, she will let me pet her and hold her, but I have to sit down and let her come to me. If I reach for her, she's gone. Yeah. So again, it's this whole idea of, you know, let me see what she's comfortable with. Let me sit down. And if she'll come to me, that means it's okay to pet her and hold her. But don't reach for her because that doesn't work for her. So it's definitely interesting with animals figuring out, you know, their predator, prey. The reason this works so well with horses is because they are prey. So they don't necessarily fight back. If they were a predator, it's predator to predator is kind of a difficult is training. It's like the lion trainers. You know, I don't want to work with a lion. No, thank you. But horses, they're big, but they're prey. So we can, if they were that big and they were predators, yeah, I don't know what the relationship would be, but the fact that they're prey animals and we can figure out how to work well together because men and horses have been friends for a long time.
Yeah. Love it. That's so cool. So cool to just listen to the experiences and the transformation that people can get from those interactions. How people can find you, and is there any, if they're not local to the area, is there any ways they can connect with you and learn more about this?
Yes, they can find me at horseandpeopleproject.com. Also Horse and People Project on Facebook, on Instagram. I also have a TikTok that's more for like fun farm videos. I have a book that's going to be coming out. So I'm putting all these stories into a book. And because I love telling the stories, like when people say, oh, what are we going to do? Are we going to ride? No, no, no. You're going to learn about yourself. Well, how do I learn about myself with a horse? And it's like, oh, let me tell you a story. And, you know, a lot of the stories were things in the beginning that I was learning about myself. And like, I didn't know I was doing that, you know? So it was like learning from a horse has been great. And then I learn from other people too when they come and situations come up. It's like, oh, okay, you weren't clear. That's why he did that. And so it's super fun. Yeah, the book, I'm excited. Hoping by the end of this year, it's with an editor right now being reviewed. So I'm hopeful. And I also am starting to go around giving talks. I realize people can learn just from hearing the stories. Of course, I
Right.
love people to come to the barn, but when that's not an option, I like going around and actually presenting and like motivational speaking all the stories that everybody can hear something that clicks with them. And it's funny because I used to have two different talks. One was corporate leadership and one was parenting. And one time when I was doing the corporate leadership, was in a conference room, like, and I said, "Oh, I also have a parenting, but you guys are going to get the corporate leadership." And then half the group was like, "We want to hear the parenting stuff." So, and honestly, I combined it now so that it's communications because
Mhm.
really that's at the heart of both of those things, you know, being a better leader, better parent. If you're a good leader at work, you hopefully are a good leader at home.
Yeah.
So it's some of the same skills. And also, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on all the socials, and hopefully, my book by the end of the year.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so excited to all the things you do and really connecting people to the horses. That's such a beautiful living being that can teach us a lot about ourselves, but also just being outside with them in nature, doing something that is so different from what we are doing in our everyday life. Like this is such a gift that you found and cultivated and created. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for being
And
here.
And
Mhm.
and thank you so much for having me. And also, if people, there's so many horse rescues all over the country that people can volunteer because even just being around a horse, it does something physically. Their heartbeat is slower and their radius is bigger. So sometimes when we're even just near them, our heartbeat slows down. So once you, fear is a factor that people may feel that their heartbeat is not slowing down because they're scared. But once they get used to being around the horse, it's really helpful. Like there's this heart coherence that happens, and heart math, this institute did a really beautiful study where they put electrodes on the humans and the horse, and they could study what their heartbeats were doing. And it was, just like this joining of the energy and the heart to
Oh,
try to, yes. So
wow.
even if you're not anywhere near Maryland, and all over the country there's rescues and they take volunteers. So even if you have to go clean stalls or just something to be out working and touching a horse, like it's just really, I think, a great health benefit.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Actually gonna look at it myself, maybe for my kiddos. And then if you have that link for the research you did, we can also add this so people can read.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
all right. Okay, Maria. Well, thank you so much again for everything. And hopefully we'll see you soon. I'm really hoping to see your book soon too.
I know, I can't wait. Yeah, that's been
Mhm.
a labor of love. All right, well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, Maria. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye. All right.